I'd like to say I didn't see that coming, but I scripted the whole thing, so. Jonathan just leave his mustache anywhere. I don't know, I'll put that up here. Maybe we'll use it later for whatever's next. So let's give it up to Cher and Jonathan. Great job. Jonathan's probably really, really pissed at me right now, so maybe he'll get over it tomorrow on the Dumbo ride. You'll be all happy again. That'd be great. So, back to the agenda. There's a big difference between achieving and not achieving. And I think that one of the primary reasons for achieving versus not achieving is believing that you can do something. And, there's a lot of sports fans in the room. It's easy to think about those coaches that you've seen on TV or the folks that have won the most number of games. And, they all believe in something. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming. We really do appreciate it. So, back to this, this word, I want you to write down the word believe. So you have to believe in something. You have to believe that you can accomplish something even when it's really, really hard. And you can accomplish something even there's lots of obstacles in the way. You can accomplish something that is difficult because it just takes so much energy or so much repetition. So much of what we do is based on habits, rituals, routines that have to perpetuate day in and day out, and that's hard. Somebody told me a long time ago, 21 days to create a habit. And I believe that. If you can get something to happen 21 days in a row, 21 shifts in a row, 21 times in a row by the shift or by that individual, you got a pretty good chance for it to stick. But 21 times, really? I mean, can you get somebody to perpetuate something and critique and have that level of follow-up? I believe you can, but you have to believe that you can, and it's not out of your reach. Believing is key. Believing you can do stuff that is really difficult or seemingly, sometimes you think maybe it's impossible. I've had the privilege in my life to run a lot of underperforming stores. And I kind of made my bones growing up by being the guy that volunteered to go to every underperforming situation because I believed in my heart I could turn that around. Because we would have fun, we'd create a team, I'd get rid of a handful of slackers, I'd replace them with some people that I chose, and I'd treat them with respect, and I would include them in the decisions we were going to make. I would high-five them all day long. We'd celebrate the little victories until we got big victories, and within 6 months, we would turn something around, and then from there, the sky was the limit. We're on a trajectory that could be successful, and I love that. I love that. I loved an individual store. I loved individual markets. In fact, this company was founded on an underperforming market. Not that it was all messed up, but the Memphis market, we've heard the story. But in fact, 26 people in the room probably haven't heard the story. When we started in 2011, our average sales volume was $19,200 per store. And kudos to people like AJ and Guy and Crystal and Ian and Jonathan and that whole group, Tiffany, that were here. Heather, a lot of folks that are in the room still here today. Remember those days. There was not a single store that lost money at $19,200 average, which means we had stores doing $14,000 a week, but those guys dug in and found out a way to make sure that it did not lose money, just to give it a chance to have a future. In many of those stores, matter of fact, we've only closed one store. We closed a store this year after 10 years of a lease. And honestly, we closed it was at a break even, still at a break even. Broke even for the 7 years we had it. And we decided the other stores would benefit more by closing that one store. First time we've done that. So, there's so much opportunity that exists from digging in and making something happen, even when it sometimes feels insurmountable. There's plenty of competition. I went to the multi-unit franchise conference last week, and it's a pretty big conference. They had about 1,200 people there, or at least 1,200 had registered. Not sure how many people showed up. Of the 1,200 people that registered, they said in the next 5 years they plan to open 11,000 more restaurants in the next 5 years. Just the people that were in that room. Now, those weren't all restaurants. Some of those were Tide dry cleaners, and some of them were other franchises of things. But hey, people are still out there trying to dig and figure out what's going to, what they can do to build and grow and grow and grow and grow. And so at the end of all that is just who's going to survive are the people that do the best job. So I often say that let's be clean, set, ready. Let's be mentally and physically prepared. Have enough product, have enough people. Okay, move heaven and earth to have enough product, have enough people. And then get the mind right. Get everybody mentally prepared for what it is you need them to do to compel a guest to return more often than they're coming today. That's the magic. I had to sit down last week with a new manager in Nashville. And I said, listen, let's make sure you understand one thing. Number one goal, all else feeds up to this one goal, compel a guest to return more often than they come today. That's where you get sales that grow. They compel someone. They compel someone else. You do that day in and day out, one guest at a time. You can be the reason why someone will come back more often because they love you that much, because the food's that great, the service is that dependable, restaurant's clean. They got lots of reasons to come, but usually when you get all these mechanical things done, like how long it takes to get through the line and get your food, we've got a great product. But the thing that accelerates, that pours the gas on that, is all that personality we have. All those smiles that we saw in that picture, we did have. The sad thing is, I don't know how many photographs that there were. I think there were 53 photographs in the Smiles video. We had 300 photographs sent in, and every one of them were spectacular. You know, some of them weren't high definition enough to put into the format that we were trying to do. But man, we have big, giant smiles throughout our organization. You know, and it makes me want to leave and go to our stores every day and see the people that are there. It's kind of like a surprise. You walk in and see who's smiling back at you, you know, because it's fun. And so that's where the belief comes from. So you got to believe that you can create smiles in everyone, but you got to want it. You got to strive for it, really dig for it day in and day out if you want that to happen. So, you know, what it is that you need to believe in, you got to underscore that. You know, I'm so proud to be a part of this team. You know, we just left the Focus Conference about 8 hours early because it doesn't end till tonight because we got double booked. Originally, the plan was they would finish at 10 a.m. We would begin about 2:30, and a lot of folks from the Focus convention would come to our convention since it was convenient, and then they would get to share in all these great things that we're doing, and then wound up ultimately getting double booked, and they're not finished till 10. But you go to those things and you look around, a lot of folks, you sit at the table every morning at breakfast or you have your lunch and sidebars. You know, there's a guy named Ritesh and he has 2 stores, and I got to tell you, I love that guy. I mean, he is working his ass off. He and his wife work 7 days a week, 14 shifts a week, trying to make their little McAllisters run. And pouring their heart and soul into that. And so when you see that and you witness that and you hear those stories of other folks that don't have the privilege that we have of having the critical mass of 73 restaurants, you know, but the brand was built off folks that have 1 restaurant and then 2 restaurants and then 3 restaurants and out there trying to build a dream for themselves and their family and their children. And man, that touches you. I mean, there's so many folks in the organization that are absolutely killing themselves trying to find a way. There's a girl that has 3 stores in Washington, and they're underperforming stores. So you know what she did? She decided she was going to bolster those stores by having the best catering sales in the system. Those 3 stores average 51% catering. She has developed the most dynamic catering business for those 3 stores as a percentage of sales of anyone, as a percentage of sales. Now, it doesn't rival some of the sales that we have going on in some of our high volume stores. But isn't that just spectacular that somebody said, you know what, I believe that I'm not going to settle for $22,000 a week. I can do more than $22,000, but I may have to go out and make that happen for myself. And she did. In the last 4 years, she's taken something, and every single year it's like, well, I'm at 20, well, now I'm at 30, well, now I'm at 40. And then this year she just got an award at 51%. That is just spectacular, you know? So you can think that she just believed that she could overcome that barrier and that obstacle. So I know that if you have a sales or a cost or a human obstacle that you can overcome that. I know that you can. So I'm just so proud of this group and how we've grown and the possibilities that we have. All right, a little transition here. I want to tell just a brief story, a very brief story, because I think the video is going to tell. But we have somebody in the room that finally decided to retire. Jim Farrar, if you'll stand up for a moment. You don't have to come up here, but where's Jim? Jim's over in the corner. So Jim, he's going to tell you. We're going to tell a little story about Jim in a moment. Jim's been in the business for his entire life. It's been a long, long journey for him, and he's finally decided to hang it up. So I thought the most fitting way to close down this meeting today, as we transition into the other things we have going on today, is just take some time in a moment and celebrate the careers that we have. You know, business is tough, and it's not for everybody. You know, you all know a handful of people that tried this and failed and got out because it was just too grueling. They couldn't work the hours. They couldn't balance the schedule. They couldn't work nights. They couldn't work weekends. A bad spouse issue, a girlfriend, boyfriend issue. There's lots of reasons why people can't do what we do. And then there's the hours we have to work to be high achievers, you know. And some of you, I look out there, you work 48 hours a week, 46 hours a week, and achieve greatness. And others of you out there probably working 65 hours a week trying to attain the same greatness that somebody else is getting at 46 hours. That's the journey that we're on. We've all been, including myself, on that journey, really pouring ourselves. So somebody gets into the career, you know, that really tells a great story because we're all writing our own stories. You know, we've talked about that several times, the story that I'm trying to write for myself, how we lived our life and what we did and what we held dear. For me, it's, you know, have fun, no regrets. You know, and we'll talk more about that tonight at dinner. And but I'd like to show you a little video, so relax. If you'd like a cup of coffee, probably grab one. It's going to take about 15 minutes, and then we're going to adjourn and get on to the next thing. Jim, come up here. I want you to say a few words. Stand up. Jim, I have a guitar for you. And tonight at the cocktail party, folks that have worked with you are going to sign it. And then I wrote on the back of it myself, to Jim Farrar, the Godfather. It's been an honor and a privilege serving with you. So appreciate it so much, man. We love you.
Much, David.
So the floor is all yours, sir.
David asked me to say a little bit about
Can you turn the microphone?
the restaurant business and McAllister's and Southern Rock. And I guess I love the restaurant business. I love serving people. I love making people happy. I love making people laugh. Sometimes when I'm engaging the guests, I'll say something like, you know, if you don't eat all your crust, your hair won't be curly. And that usually draws a laugh. And then I had one lady that said, well, that's good because I don't want my hair curly. And another guy took his hat off and he was bald, you know. And but sometimes they'll just look at me, you know. And so then I can usually say something like, well, you know, my kids don't think I'm funny either. And that always brings a laugh. So they, but I think I really enjoy the business because I've worked for 50 years. I've worked with people, young people, you know. And they keep me young. They make me feel young. I know all the latest slang. They've taught me to dab. You know, they're just. It's just a great environment to be in. I love the fact that I can encourage and mentor people. I had one young lady a few years ago tell me, said, "Would you be my adopted dad?" You know. Now they're saying, would you be my grandpa? And I'm not exactly sure when that changed, you know, but I truly love the business. I love to encourage young people. I love to help develop them. As far as McAllister's Deli is concerned, I love working for McAllister's Deli. I love putting that shirt on every day and getting up and going to work. And I thought of lots of things to say about McAllister's, but I thought that video was awesome. I thought that said everything that I could possibly say about McAllister's. It's just a great place to work. And as far as Southern Rock, I can think of the two best words that I can think of to describe Southern Rock would be David Blackburn. David is a great guy to work for. I've enjoyed the 7 years that David has owned the stores, and I can't think of a better place to retire from than working for David. And I've made a couple observations though over the last few years. I've noticed that Brooke has stopped eating crust. I think she's tired of straightening out her hair, you know, so she just stopped eating crust. But then I also noticed that AJ is eating other people's crust now. You know, so. Thank you, David.
Jim, these people love you, man.
I love you, David. Thank you so much.
All right, tear off your piece of paper, go directly to your room and get ready for the shuttle. All right, 6:30 and 6:45. Don't be late or you've got a 3-mile walk in the rain.